Alrighty guys, welcome back to another episode of Scott's Speed Shop, and today is build day for, not that, I did put that back together looking cool, but still not that, mostly sorta kinda on this one, minus the fender wells. Those are for a whole different car. Today is the build day. My tall friend, who I am awaiting right now, is on his way in a very majestic steed that the last time you saw him on our channel, he drove off into the sunset with this majestic bananarama of a steed. And today he's bringing it back to Kansas to visit and to help on this build, but it'll still be up on his channel plus whatever he films. And same thing with Tall John. He's Tall John's Fun Shop on YouTube. This is the collaboration of the year for me, basically. So, when everybody starts showing up, we will start the build. Well, it appears we have company in the form of an Anna. Oh wow, that truck looks really familiar. Huh, I wonder whose truck, oh good Lord. Wow, that ceiling looks a whole heck of a lot shorter.
Hey, I snuck in here and I almost got shot because I didn't wait for Jed to get out here.
I just feel like I should hold the camera at this height, normal height for me, so it just cuts your head off every time.
That's all right.
So what do you think about her?
I think she's ready to rock and roll in a minute. That's what I think. I think it's time to put it together.
Well, you mean we got to take it apart first, really?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
What it's going to look like is here.
Well,
What it's going to be, I can't wait.
I guess we could run the fender wells on it for the break-in.
Why not?
It'd be really loud. But that would be.
You don't have neighbors to worry about anymore, so who gives a shit if it's loud?
I like the way Anna thinks. Okay, we might have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do both.
We can. We have time.
I don't mind listening to it run.
Yeah, we got time.
We got time.
We got 3 days?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Technically. Okay, so this video will pertain mostly us taking apart this beautiful image. I have a pretty girlfriend, yes, but this is what we're focused on.
You got a pretty boyfriend too.
Oh, God. Okay, well, we're getting down. Okay, anyways, so we're mainly going to be focused on in this portion is taking this beautiful contraption all apart, and we got to clean everything. This is one part of an engine build. Tall John and I were talking about this earlier. Cleaning is a big part of an engine build that doesn't get touched on because everything needs to be wiped down and final clean. It's got oils on it from the machine shop. The crank is basically covered in cosmoline because Mark said that crank was so rusty if he didn't coat it, it'd be rusty by the time I built it if I even only waited a couple weeks. So that's coated. We got to clean it. We'll inventory all the parts. So let's get at it. Don't forget to check out Tall John's Fun Shop on YouTube.
What I was going to say.
No, we lost it.
No, we spend so much time when we clean the body of our car. When we're ready to paint it, the paint job is directly related to the preparation of the body, right? We do everything we can to keep it clean. Then we come to an engine and we take it from the machine shop and we whip it together and everything's supposed to be clean and we blow it out. No, we need to make it clean just like we care about the bodywork of our car.
Well,
Jed doesn't.
Well, the people who care about the bodywork of their car.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like a surgical room.
Yeah.
Except we're not surgically clean. I mean, look at this. I spent an hour sweeping this floor so nobody could gripe about it being dirty.
There's a red straw on the floor.
Alright, so Anna asked why we do an oil bypass in the valley. By the way, it's looking less cool. So John, please explain why.
The reason is the oil comes into the one galley and then it has to come from one side and down the other to come into the other. So now we put a secondary line to feed oil.
So it goes to all ports?
Yeah.
I was just curious because I don't
The-
remember seeing that on the Barracuda.
See, these oil the main, these galleys right here.
Because this is a small block, Anna, and the Barracuda is a big block. Small block has its own fallbacks, things you can do to make it better, and a big block has the same. This is one of the things you do to a small block.
So if when you get the oil pressure in here, this does not feed the main. And we want as much oil in this one to feed the main so we can run the oil back over there.
Cool. Alrighty, well, we got the engine all tore down. We'll just show you the block one quick time. Some interesting things on that casting. But it's a real 340. It's a -3 block. And like I told you, it's an early one. 619 to 67 casting a day, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I had a comment actually. 2-bolt main. Yes, Chrysler. It's 2-bolt main. Yes, big block, small block. Unless you got a TA, then you got a 4-bolt.
Well, TA has the ability for 4-bolt. It has the extra webbing and.
Oh, it's not extra hard.
No.
Yeah. I am wrong. Anyway, so there's our block. We got all the parts up here. We're on it. Our W2 heads. Like I said, everything here just needs solid cleaning. Mostly going to need gaskets. We got to make baffles for the valve covers. Not a big deal. Cam, distributor, all the rest of the stuff is in this cabinet. So let's get started. And let's make it look like a 340. So on to our point of cleaning, let me just show you a paper towel. Why everything needs to be cleaned up. It's gritty, and it's not the machine shop's job to really deliver me a clean block. It's to deliver me a block that won't rust, that it's my job to clean. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Gritty.
we're gonna sit here, we're gonna do a bunch of cleaning and get the block prepped up, ready to rock and roll. Alright, so got the freeze plug holes kind of clean. We're going to double check those one more time. Told John is going to do an oiling mod, which I told him he should film for his portion of his video. Why he's doing it, what he's doing. That's up to him whether or not he does that. I'm going to get real tired.
We're going to do porting, just not cylinder head.
Yeah, because they're already assembled. That still needs to be cleaned, so.
We're going to do oil galley porting.
Yeah, so if you want to see more on that, you better hope he films it and tells you why he's doing it while I work on the block. See, now you guys have to go watch Tall John's video because Anna's helping him while he works on stuff. Alright, so time for the freeze plugs to go in. Got those bores cleaned out. We're going to put some flange sealant around them. You can use shellac. I use this Loctite 515 flange sealant. Works really good. Gets harder under compression. These are a nice fit. Got my installation tool here, an Indestro 1.25 inch. Ready to go. So I was wondering why I was having issues with the freeze plugs, and the ones we got are the, Tall John just said it, they're the shallow ones. That's why they want to tip on you really bad. So should have bought the tall ones, but that's, again, what was available. Alright, well, Tall John got his freeze plugs in. Hey, they step. I just noticed that. I'm not going to make fun of you, because you took a hell of a lot less time than I did, but they do step. And there's mine down there. They're all about even, but they're a little crooked.
They'll seal.
They'll seal.
They'll be fine.
Tall John did mention, if you're going to build a small block, you know, don't forget to plug off everything. But I learned something. I'm going to just tell you guys this. There is a plug that goes inside of that hole. It seals right there. You see that secondary hole? There is a galley plug that goes inside of there. That is why that hole is bigger than that hole. Sorry, it's bad angles. But anyways, make sure you put all
we
those
got
in.
these two here.
Yep.
And then there's a little mini freeze plug that goes in here.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen people just put the cam retainer on there and run it that way.
Yeah.
We'll put the plugs in.
Yep, we got them. Okay, well, there's the block so far. Now we're gonna go hang out for a little bit. All right, well, we're back the next day. Tall John was tired from his long drive, so we just did the little bit with the freeze plugs. He did a little bit of filming. So what do we got for today?
We're gonna clean an engine block.
There we go.
Do it correctly. We're gonna do clean the engine block, get the galley plugs in, slide the cam in first, lay a crank in it. I think we'll be done with it in about 2 hours.
Probably. And we cleaned off that table real thoroughly, as clean as it can get again. So we have a nice clean table over there. If we need this table, we can clean it back off, but we got all the big parts over there. Right now, it's mostly just clean, because before we want to start getting too far ahead of ourselves, cleanliness. Because as we showed you last night, it's still a little bit dirty, so we're going to focus on that. We'll hyperlapse a little bit of that for you and get right to it. You see, this is why we actually do collaborations, is because we can have our friends drive across the country to help us put our stuff together, which actually is make them do all the work while we sit around and pretend to do stuff, right? That's what we do. Right, Tall John?
What's that?
Just say, sure.
Sure.
There we go. That's the right answer. Alrighty, so here's a good example of why we clean our engines thoroughly. By the way, we're not going to speedy footage this because listen to good music and we're having fun. So we're sitting here cleaning out these galleys with this brush. Tall John's operating the brake clean, and we started dragging the brush, and we're doing this until it comes out perfectly clean. And I got stuck in there. I ain't got enough force with the camera. But anyways, we were doing that enough times, we started getting chunks out like that. A good reason why you should clean your engine, because that was right in the main oil galley. I would have gone straight. Would that have gone right back to the fire crank?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Went straight on the main.
And that is a little chunk of rust right there that got left behind, you know. Okay, so if you're watching Tall John's video before the fact or after the fact or in between, you'll see that things are happening similar times. So right now, I'm getting these all glued in with Loctite. Let's crimp down. We're not going to put them on the front of the timing chain cover or in the back. I guess we put them in the back.
Yeah, I can put them in the back.
Yeah, put them in the back. But we want to be able to remove the timing chain cover if we ever need to, God forbid. And having those studded to the oil pan would be a nightmare. So we're not doing that. So got the rest of these glued in, ready to rock and roll. Having fun, just like they did back in the 70s. A couple of dudes getting together to put a crappy engine together that hopefully won't blow up in 3 seconds.
Talking shade tree.
Yep, this is true shade tree, except for, what we say, shade dodge, because we got more dodges here creating shade than trees in front of the shop. We're having a good time. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. Alrighty, so we got everything in there. Tall John's getting the rear main all prepped up, ready to go. I'm gonna get this crankshaft unbagged here in a second, start cleaning on it so we can get ready for its arrival into the block. This thing's pretty coated with some Cosmoline or oil stuff that Mark uses, so you can get that all cleaned up, get the rest of the caps cleaned up, and get the bearings out too. Better get those out. All right, so what's getting ready to happen right now, Tall John, since that crank, wait, we gotta show him the crank. Ooh, look at how pretty that is. Oh,
Polished.
oh, that's beautifully clean. I did half, Tall John did the other half. That's what teamwork is. One guy strokes one half of the shaft, the other guy gets the other half. I gave Tall John the bigger half.
He gave me the top half.
I did. It's really bad. Okay, so the crank is clean. So now what are we gonna do?
We're gonna lay bearings.
Lay bearings.
We're gonna put some oil on the bearings. We're gonna put a small, very thin sealer into this corner, across this face. When the cap goes on, that'll crush that sealer nice and make us a extra seal. We're gonna oil the threads of the bolt, and then we'll oil the head of the bolt here, where it contacts the cap. So here's the deal. We're going to use Lucas.
You gotta step back.
We're going to use the Lucas, and it's a nice thick heavy. They make stuff, Jed has it, for putting threads to torque the bolts down. Well, if you don't have that trick stuff, you can use 30 weight oil. You just put any oil in. Do not put it together dry. It ain't gonna hurt something if you do, but you want to put some oil on that sucker, and that's going to make us nice and tight. You won't fight the turning of the bolt from friction. The oil's going to help lubricate it, so it's going to be actually, the bolt is actually going to make clamping force instead. So that's why.
And that's why you should go watch Tall John on YouTube, because you get all those kinds of little techie tips that I am not smart enough to tell you guys to do. I just tell you, yeah, put oil on there. It's a pretty good idea.
Oh, one other thing too. When we do the oil, we're going to lay the oil in the bearing here. We're going to set the crank down in there, and we're not going to sit there and rotate it around until we get the cap put on. The reason is we don't want any oil on these surfaces.
Nope.
If there's oil in there, it literally will leave this cap up. A microscopic amount. So we don't want that. So we're going to, if you rotate it around, the oil that's on the crank will beat up on the bearing on that half where we're going to crush the two pieces together. So we give it a little adjustment, but that's it. Mount it, mount it, mount it, mount it, rotate it. Then we can rotate it all the way around. The thing we're going to do is, maybe we'll put this on camera. I don't know. We'll do the end play on the crank.
Yeah, we'll do that for your side.
Yeah.
All right, so what you just saw is we just set crank in play here. We're all kosher. What'd we get it to? What was it?
5,000.
5,000. We're right in the money. Perfect. Groovy. Tall John is going to be filming his little portion on how to do that and why it's important and what you're doing and specs and all that stuff that he's really good at that I ain't good at. We're just gonna be pretty honest here. We're just having fun hyperlapsing and putting this bad boy together. So that's all done. Give her a little freaking, look at that. Oh, the dial indicator's rubbing on it.
Oh.
I was wondering what that screeching sound was. It was like, no. Okay, it's dial indicator. All right, so there we go. More on to the rods and pistons for me. All right, well, we got the main caps torqued down, and second take here, crank spins real nice. It's only got a little bit of drag just because the gear oil we use instead of like motor oil or something or any kind of assembly lube. All right, so right now what's going on is we're going to be even more hyperlapsing for you guys. Most of the huge tech, if you're really interested, will be on Tall John's channel, so hopefully he gets this video out soon.
Huge tech.
Yeah. So he's untorquing these rods, so that's already done. And then we're going to start getting our pistons mounted to our rods. They're all numbered, so 1 to 1, 2 to 2, so on and so forth. Making sure we get the fillet on the right side, the chamfer in there. There's a chamfered edge and then a more chamfered edge.
Yeah, more chamfered.
Yeah, you got that side. That rides on the side of the crank. Your short chamfer like that rides up against the other side of the rod. So you have two rods riding next to each other. Rod goes in front of this one, and then the big chamfer crank. And of course, yeah, hard to explain, one-handed. Anyways, that's what we're doing. And these are also a floating pin setup. The only setup it really should be. Press works, but this is way better. And so it's literally just a bunch of these little E-clips, whatever there are, snap rings. So everything's gonna be nice and easy. We'll clean them one more time. We'll oil them up, put it together, get the rings on it, so on and so forth. And then we'll take a little break. We'll come in, we'll show you, we'll talk a little bit, and then time lapse to final assembly. What says you Anna over there doing work after hours? There he is, our savior, Sir Tall John. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh. Thank God that thing's got good brakes. We either figured you got lost, You got into an argument with some Chevy guy at Napa, or they were closed?
They were closed 5 minutes early,
Nice.
so I went over to O'Reilly's.
Oh, at least you went to O'Reilly's. That's nice. Thank you. Now we can get back to work on that. All right, so if you guys are curious, so we've been having a heck of a time with snap ring pliers. Tall John ran to Napa. They closed 5 minutes early. Thank you, Napa. So they went to O'Reilly's on the other end of town. Got the whatever they had for snap ring pliers, so cheap Chinese chinkaderas, guys. They don't even fit. None of them fit our snap rings, so lots of handwork trying to get snap rings so we could put our snap rings in our pistons to get our pins in, so we could put our rotating assembly together and see how that's going to work. So we're going to take a break. Instead of getting all the rods and pistons in, we're going to go ahead and get all the front dress on here. Not the dress, but cam, get all that put on there. We ain't got to worry about top dead center because Mark's already got all that set up with an offset key or pin. Key.
Right.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. So that's already set up and dialed in, so it's literally just slinger and all that other crap. We're going to get the Magnum timing chain tensioner on there. So again, any of the real solid hardcore tech stuff, you want to see the in-depth more, you still got to go watch him. We're hyperlapsing and we're having fun while we put this thing together. Whether or not I just showed you that hyperlapses, that was us trying to put the timing chain on, which is a nice double roller. It's already been pre-degreed and pre-set up, but Mark didn't have this timing chain tensioner, and this is normal. Guys put Magnum timing chain tensioners on small block LAs all the time. It works. But for some reason with that chain setup, it's stretching that chain really tight. Normally on an LA, the chains are pretty loose. It's why you put those on there. But this one, it's too tight. And so we're going to go watch some YouTube to get education. So as it turns out, I don't know what brand of timing chain that was. It isn't a Comp Cams box, but I don't know what that is. But whatever timing chain that Mark picked out or I picked out, whatever, it fits really good. I've never seen a small block LA with that little slop. It's that fully, it's pretty close. The cam come out a little bit. We got to put the plate on the back, but that's pretty impressive. So Magnum timing chain tensioner, not going on. All right, well, the cam is in. Got that lock, tied it in with plenty of schmutz, and torqued down to 35 foot-pounds. Found that information on the web, on the good old internet. These are all Loctite, tightened down too. And so now we're gonna put our rods and pistons in finally. And this thing takes like no effort at all to turn over. It's freaking incredible. Literally, the torque wrench hanging off of the cam gear there was enough to rotate the engine over. Now there's no rods or pistons in it. That's just a crank, but pretty smooth. All right, let's keep at her. Alrighty, so Tall John worked his magic. We had to fix one ring land. It was kind of funky, but we got that fixed. No big deal. So we're checking rod in play, and all the rods and pistons are in. It's what? Excuse me. It's like 1 in the morning, and we still got a little bit of ways to go before we can call it a night. But we're getting there. Ain't that right?
That's right. We're going to have heads on this puppy tonight.
We will. I'm working on getting the timing chain cover cleaned up. I kind of forgot all about that. How hard is it to turn over, Tall John?
I don't know. About that hard right there.
That's not bad.
No, it moves nicely.
Yeah. It's got a nice sound to it.
Getting ready to fire this big dog off.
Well, before we leave, we'll have heads on it for sure, and hopefully paint. that Mr. Tall John, as you saw, just torqued them heads down. Wow, I was fiddling with the timing chain cover and whatnot.
Do what?
You are the star of this show right now.
Well, we gotta get things done, and you're over there doing your part, and I'm over here doing mine.
You're doing all the glory work.
That's right.
You're doing all the cool guy stuff, and I'm making sure it seals.
We'll leave that cleaning for the other people. I'll do this part assembling thing.
Yeah, well, you get all the cool. It's just like whenever we're doing stuff. Normally, Dad gets all the stuff what's on camera, the fun, cool stuff, makes him look awesome, and I'm in the background doing all the stuff nobody else wants to do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay, that's good.
So, hey, see these?
Yeah.
That's not typical LA type shape of a port.
No, that's kind of weird.
That is weird.
Looks like big block Chevy.
No, negative.
I had to say.
Negative.
All right, let's keep rolling on. Alrighty, fellers. So here's the deal. Last night, Tall John, remember, his dad's age. He's not as young as me, but even though I may be younger than him, yeah, we got pretty tired. It was 3 a.m. before we left, and not having the right fuel pump eccentric, I grabbed one out of the deal, and it was early Hemi. Tall John did notice that later. Brian, good friend of Dust Devil, he remembered or reminded me that I have Jezebel's Original 318, which will have all that stuff. So I'm going to go rob that other stuff in the barn. And basically, this should be part 5 is assembling the long block. And technically, we're there. The only thing we really didn't get done is painting it. But you know what? We'll do that another day. The main focus is getting this thing running, and you will see that maybe, possibly, potentially, depends on how I wake up in the morning if I decide I want to do it, that you'll get to hear it run. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed part 5 of the WT340 build. Don't forget to go check out the star here, Mr. Tall John.
Yeah,
Tall John.
go check my channel out. I need more help than he does.
He
I'm
does.
Helpless.
He's
I'm helpless. I need more help.
And you get all those really good little techie parts.
Yeah, I threw a few techie
Look
things
at,
in there when you
I
were
didn't,
looking.
I didn't even notice those were on.
Pretty.
Oh, those are sexy. Did you put the numbers on right?
Yeah.
They taught you how to count in California?
Well, you got to count. Everywhere you go in California, how much money goes to the government, you got to count.
Anyways, all right, fellers and non-fellers. So look forward to seeing you in the next part. We'll see you then. As always, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we just ran into a pretty good snag. He was trying to rotate around. It was hidden. It's a Melling, high volume, small block guy. I mean, it's just your typical freaking small block oil pump. And it was hidden. It had this like...
Well, you can shim this bracket. You can shim the individuals if you have.
All right, well, that's what it took. I'm sorry, Jezebel's Original 318. What said you, Tall John?
Intermediate shaft.
Huzzah! Did. Tall John said it. This is the way. We've been invaded by a Daniel Parker. They're having a first love meeting. Just, yeah. What are you gonna smell of? Race gas and tire smoke, Tall John? We made it to Smoking Mocan Dragway. Let's see if we get spark. Will it run?